Tomorrow morning we arrive at one of the most breathtaking and transformative moments in all of Torah. In fact, it's maybe the seminal moment in Jewish history. It's up there, without a doubt, with the Kriyat Yam Suf, with the splitting of the Red Sea. It's up there with the conquest of the land. It's up there. In fact, it could be seen as the most central moment of Torah. Everything is building towards Matan Torah, standing at Sinai. And imagine this scene. And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunder and lightning and a thick cloud upon the mountain. The sound of the shofar was loud, exceedingly loud, and all the people in the camp were trembling. Revelation. Divine speech breaking into human history. Charlton Heston. Smoke. Light show. It's a big moment. And what's remarkable, in a moment we'll discuss a couple of insights into Revelation, but what's remarkable is that this long-awaited experience, that is one of the most important experiences, is met with radical ambivalence by the Jewish people. The thing they wanted the most is a thing that when they had it, they didn't want it. It's not easy to stand in the face of revelation. The verse tells us in the Torah tomorrow morning, in chapter 20, verse 15, V'chol ha'am ro'im es ha'kolos, v'salapidim es kol ha'shofar v'es ha'har shein. The whole people were seeing the lights and the sounds and the ram's horn. Vayaram, and they were afraid, and vayanu, and they trembled. Vayamdu merachok, they took a step back. Revelation is immense. It's a big deal. So 3 pieces of advice from the tradition on how to receive the overwhelming experience of revelation. These 3 pieces of advice come from the Hasidic rabbis, from the lineage of Hasidut. And they are basically, be like the mountain, be like the minor A, and remember the voice. The Midrash tells us about the mountain. Why was the Torah given on Mount Sinai and not on a much taller, more prestigious mountain in the Himalayas? To teach one that one must be humble in order to receive Torah. The Chernobyl Rabbi, the Morinayim, says, in deepening this idea, he teaches us that Sinai represents a paradox of revelation. On the one hand, there's a mountain. It reminds us that receiving Torah is exalted and lofty. To receive revelation is a big deal. But the mountain merited not because it was the tallest, but because it was small. First advice is be humble, but also be regal. You deserve revelation, and you don't. The paradox of revelation and its expression to the mountain is that each of us is imbued with dignity, but humility is what safeguards our ability to receive revelation. When someone asks, why does the Torah repeatedly say over and over again, on this day they arrived at Sinai, in the text, Hayom Hazeh, instead of on that day? The answer is because every day we stand at Sinai, we stand at Har Sinai, and every day we receive Torah anew, says the Chernobler. And the only way to do that is through humility. The second piece of advice is about that minor A. There is a tradition that when the Torah says all of the people heard the voice, saw the voices, what does that mean to see a voice? Synesthesia. Another Hasidic Rebbe, the Kedushas Levi, says that at Har Sinai they saw voices means that they saw silence. They saw what was beyond words. And he goes on to say that there is a tradition that says that the Jewish people didn't receive all of the 10 Commandments, but just the first letter of the 10 Commandments, the Aleph of Anochi, of I am. That little Aleph, which is silent and aspirant. In order to receive revelation, we have to get quiet enough to hear it. It indeed can be overwhelming. But humility and also listening deeply invite us into that place. And lastly, there's something I think all of us know intuitively that helps us to manage what revelation might feel like or look like. In the lineage of Ishbitz, the Ishbitzer Rabbi, Mordechai Yosef Lehner, he teaches that revelation was not a one-size-fits-all experience. When the Torah says in verse 19 of chapter 19, Moshe yidaber ve'Elohim ya'anenu b'kol, that Moshe would speak and God would return that speech with a call, with a voice, the Ishbitzer says, what do you mean a voice? What voice? What kind of voice? It should say the voice of God. Why a voice? Ve'Elohim ya'anenu b'kol, it says, means that when God spoke to Moshe and to the others in a voice, it was the voice that each and every one of them needed to hear. Curated revelation. Like that, huh? We got a little woo from Rich. The voice that each and every one of us needs to hear is the miracle of revelation at Sinai, where humility and silence are the prerequisites for hearing a very curated, personalized message that is just to you and you alone. It's not hard to imagine that. We all get on airplanes each and every week, month, and year. We're sitting and getting our own experience. The person next to us has a completely different experience. 600,000 souls standing at Sinai in this myth, each one of them receiving their own download, their own unique expression of Torah. Each and every one of them, right, is not only being given Torah, but a Torah uniquely for them. The Torah must be deeply personal. One person might hear the Torah of justice, another person might hear the Torah of kindness, another might hear a Torah of learning. Each and every one of us, a Torah of relationships, a Torah of leadership, a Torah of equality. What's your Torah is a good question. What's your Torah? Give me your Torah. I want to hear what Torah you received and what you're living. There's a tradition based on the verse in Psalms that says, Ashrei Adam, happy or praiseworthy or content is the person that learns God's Torah and in his Torah finds content. The Talmud says, in the beginning, it says God's Torah, and then it says his Torah with a kind of amorphous, possessive pronoun. His Torah, whose Torah? In the beginning it was God's Torah, and now it's his Torah. Presumably means his, meaning God, in that verse. But the rabbis radically say at the beginning you start learning Torah, but then it becomes your Torah. And the transformation of someone who learns Torah that belongs somewhere to Torah that belongs here. That's radical. The voice means that to receive Torah, if you try to receive someone else's Torah, it'll overwhelm you. It won't fit. It's like Cinderella and the wrong slipper. It's like, of course you didn't like that Torah. You went to Romu, you're trying it out. The rabbi, I don't know, I like this Torah, I didn't like his Torah, I don't take it personally. Whose Torah? Every shul is a different Torah. Every community is a different Torah. People used to come over to me and say, like, why don't you talk about this? And I'd say, I don't. That's not my Torah. That's someone else's Torah. Go over there. There are beautiful shuls over there. They talk about that all the time. That's their Torah. Rome has its own Torah. There's a vision of the Midrash says that in Shemayim in heaven there's a gate of prayer for each one of the 12 tribes. Meaning each one of them had their own algorithm, their own code, their own sequence. There's the Moroccan style, the Sephardi style, the Ashkenazi style with all of its different variegations. When people try to paint Eretz Yisrael, I'm looking over it alone, when people try to think of Eretz Yisrael as Israel, as monolithic, as homogeneous, please. On one block in Jerusalem, you can walk into 50 different synagogues. It's a potpourri of difference. This is not a public relations, hasbara for Israel on any level, but just the beauty of variegated prayer, the beauty of variegated approaches, the beauty of curated Torah is a prerequisite for being able to receive the immensity, the enormity, and the overwhelming quality of Torah. Humility. The mountain is chosen because it's low and it's humble, and yet it's still a mountain. Humility. The silence that comes after words, the silence between words. How much noise in our lives, how much noise in conversations, how much noise in my mind when I'm speaking to somebody and thinking about what I'm going to say in response. How much noise. And so the Rebbes come along and say, there's an aleph. It's a little aleph, a minor one. It's a silent aleph. It has to do with listening. And then, of course, personalized Torah that doesn't overwhelm you. Find your Torah and live your Torah. We're living in a moment when the Jewish people and the whole world could use some more Sinai consciousness. A bit more humility, a lot more silence, and an understanding that one person's Torah is not another person's Torah. That's all we do on Facebook, and don't forget about, nobody uses Facebook anymore, right? It's all the other social, so all we do is, all they do is talk about other people's Torah. Did you see Kendrick Lamar? Not my Torah, but nobody writes in, listen, it's not my Torah, but it's great Torah. It's horrible Torah. I don't understand a word. I was reading in the New York Times, I'm thinking to myself, what about, the man's a prophet, he's saying incredibly deep things. It might not be my Torah, but I'm gonna lean in, gonna learn his Torah, or I'll respect, I'll honor it. Run to the social airways, like to pollute it with condescension and with critique and criticism. It's like, don't people have better things to do with their time? Honestly, don't people have better things to do with their time than weighing in constantly on everybody else's Torah? It's like, I am so done with my Torah, I'd feel the need right now for the next hour to rain on your Torah. Why don't you spend the next hour downloading and deepening your relationship with what your Torah is? To spend time with your own Torah. Am Yisrael, the Jewish people, and the world need more unity. We need a greater willingness to listen before we speak. I don't believe Sinai was a one-time event. It wasn't historical, it's right now. The Moreh Naim taught us that if we live with that awareness, if we cultivate humility, like he said, if we listen deeply, like Kedushas Levi says, and if we together remember that each of us has a Torah so that we might stand together with our Torah united, then that renews the Torah each and every day. It's my blessing this evening, and I charge to us to receive Torah deeply this Shabbos, to stand together with open hearts and deep listening and a readiness to receive what is uniquely ours and to honor what is uniquely yours. I think that'll build a better world. And it is upon us to do that. And so I invite you all to please rise for the Aleinu. It is upon us on page 78.